Thank you for coming, and it's great to have a packed house, as we always do here. Musicians love to play for a packed house. It's absolutely true. We're very vain people. But it's great to play for you again. This is our third time coming here to play, third year in a row, and I always look forward to it, and now I always look forward to it, because for many reasons. For one thing, this gorgeous space and unique kind of environment to play classical music, but also because this is the very first concert that the Manhattan Chamber Players ever played. The quick little story on how that happened: Krista Feeney, who many of you may know from having performed here a number of times, she couldn't be here today. She was very sad she couldn't, because she has a foot injury that she just had an operation for, and she has to keep it elevated, and it's very difficult to get around. So she's not here, but she was looking for a group to perform with here, and a member of Manhattan Chamber Players gave her our information, having just started the group, and she just immediately hired us, or asked us to come and play, and then she couldn't play with us, so we wound up playing on our own. And it was literally the day before the concert that we got asked to come and play. So it was a whirlwind putting that one together, but it was a lot of fun, and we've continued to come back. And in any case, this year Krista asked if we could come again, and when we were talking about programming the concert, she mentioned to me that her favorite piece of chamber music in the world was Dvorak's String Quintet. And I love that piece too. Dvorak happens to be my favorite composer, so I was happy to think about putting that on the program. And then I started thinking about the rest of the program, and I came up with this idea of making it all about music that Dvorak wrote during one summer, with us being at the end of summer, though you wouldn't know it because it's freezing in here. And the first little piece that you just heard, I actually cheated a little bit. As you can see on the program, he wrote that way back in 1865. But I'll get into why I put that on the program in a second. First of all, I want to thank Julian for being here, because Sujin, obviously it doesn't look very much like a Sujin lead, but Julian is a wonderful cellist who agreed to step in at the last minute. Sujin had a family emergency, so it's great to have Julian here with us. And yeah. Tell you a little story about Dvorak, just so you get a sense of what his life was like and what led him to the place of writing the music that's on this program. So Dvorak grew up in the middle of nowhere in a former Czech Republic in Bohemia, and had, at that time they were under the protection of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, so they were basically treated like nothing people, especially people who lived out in the country. And his father was the town butcher, and Dvorak was expected to follow in his father's footsteps and become the next town butcher. After his father retired or passed away, he went to trade school, did his apprenticeship, got a certificate and everything, and playing viola was just a hobby for him. And then very unexpectedly, what we know is that he, after getting his apprenticeship, went off to Prague and played in the opera orchestra. And he played viola. As I said, he self-taught himself how to compose by studying the scores of other great composers. And the first pieces that he wrote were usually not particularly good. But he learned, and he got better and better, and he applied for this stipend to get money from Vienna, from the Viennese government, so he could further his music studies and support himself as a composer. After 3 years of applying and not getting it, Brahms was on the jury. Johannes Brahms was on the jury that awarded him the stipend for 4 years in a row, until Brahms finally invited him to Vienna, and they became very good friends. Dvorak became very famous. In a nutshell, was basically the second most famous composer in the world, next to Brahms. Fast forward to 1892, in America, completely other side of the world, there isn't a music conservatory. In America at that time, if you wanted to be a musician, you had to go to Europe to study. And so only rich people could afford to do it, basically. So in New York, there's this very wealthy woman who wanted to open an American conservatory of music. And they had to hire someone super famous to come and be the president of it. And so they got Dvorak to do it. He came and he spent the year in New York, and he hated it. And he wanted to go home and see his family for the summer, but then he heard about this little Czech community in Spillville, Iowa. Imagine America, Midwest, small town in the 1890s. Again, out in the middle of nowhere. Everyone there spoke Czech and ate Czech food and everything. He brought his family over from Bohemia. They went to Spillville, Iowa together, and he was there the whole summer. And it was there that he had this inspiration to write the music you're going to hear today. The reason for the Cypresses movement that we just played being included on the program is that right before he left for America, he arranged basically the first things he ever wrote, these little songs. They're actually meant, for a singer. He arranged them for string quartet because his music was in such high demand and he couldn't write music fast enough to support the demand, so he started to rearrange old things he wrote when he was much younger. But I felt like the title of it and the music just kind of perfectly signifies where we are. It's out in nature, the birds chirping, the water flowing, and it's such a great setting to play. And the music is wonderful. It's inspired by a setting much like this one. And so I hope you enjoy the music we play today, and the music of Dvorak, who, by the way, just had a birthday. September 8th was Dvorak's birthday. And I hadn't realized that until I saw it on Facebook, because I'm actually friends on Facebook with Antonin Dvorak. And it showed up that it was his birthday. And my birthday's on the 6th. And so I was like, oh, we're fellow Virgos. That's so cool. So it's Dvorak's birthday weekend, so we're going to celebrate. Enjoy.